So hello, everybody. I hope everyone's doing okay with all of this shifting that's going on today. Spring equinox, full moon. We have so much going on. Mercury's retrograde. All right, so let's just start up with a couple of questions here, just so I can get a sense who is here already and where we're at in terms of our knowledge base with astrology. So how many of you are familiar with the term vernal equinox? And feel free to chat with me, raise your hand. If you're watching this as a recording at home, feel free to just engage anyways, even if I'm not there live with you. Just go yes or no. Okay. Hi, Julian. And how many of you understand what the station phases are all about? So Karen's familiar with the vernal equinox. Okay. And by the way, if you're not familiar with it, we will talk about it. So don't worry. So how many of you are familiar with the station phases? What a station phase is all about? Mina knows. Okay, excellent. Good for you. Very good. Okay. And then last but not least, how many of you know what happens during a Jupiter station phase? Anybody familiar with Jupiter station phases? Which is what we're going to be talking about today, and which is what starts in early April. So not too long from now. All right. All right. So before we get started, I just want to thank everybody for your time, for being here with me today, or this evening, or afternoon, or I don't know what time zone you're tuning in from. But thanks anyways for coming, for spending the time with me for the next 90 or something minutes. Karen is saying she understands the station phase. She's starting to. Very good. Jupiter station. Yeah, so we'll talk about all of that, of course. So just for those of you who are completely new to my forums, I just want to say a little bit about myself, just so you know who you're speaking to. I mean, most of you know me already from my YouTube videos, from the new moon videos, or from my website, being a member of my website, full moon videos, weekly forecasts, so you get all the astrology from me. But maybe not all of you know that I'm originally from Austria. For those of you who've watched the forums before, you do know that already. I've lived in the United States since 1994, and I currently live in Pittsburgh. I've lived in New York before. I've lived in Chicago before. Right now in Pittsburgh. And I'm originally from Vienna, Austria. And I've been studying astrology since the early 90s. And I started to be certified in 2005. And then in 2010, I started this business. I started AstrologerCoach business. So I got my first website. And since then, it's evolved, of course, as most of you know. And it's going really well. So there is, with this new website, with the membership website, since it's a lot more complex, there are a lot more things to pay attention to, and things that can sometimes go a little haywire. But I have people that help me, and so I'm dealing with whatever keeps happening or keeps going on. So it's a true business adventure with the memberships. But it's really wonderful too. I really love connecting with all you guys once a month, and I love connecting with people once a month with the coaching sessions if you're a superstar member. So it's really wonderful. It's very satisfying for me. So I hope it's satisfying for you as well if you're watching this. And as always, if you ever have any feedback from me about anything, feel free to always let me know. Okay. I always say that anyways. Now, today we're going to talk about, the vernal spring equinox or equinox, which was exact a couple of minutes ago, March 20th at 5:58 or 5:59 p.m. Eastern time, New York time. And we'll also cover the Jupiter station and retrograde phases in Sagittarius The retrograde phase will start April 10th and will go until August 11th. Jupiter goes retrograde every year for 4 months. So all the social and outer planets usually go retrograde once a year for several months because they're slower moving planets, and so we have more to digest. So the retrograde phases are there for us to be able to digest some stuff that we've learned about Jupiter in our chart. And we'll go more into that in a little bit. Now, the station phases happen right before the retrograde phase begins, when the planet starts to slow down. And so this particular station phase will start on April 2nd. It will intensify on April 6th. And then I think it will be a stationing until, let me see, until April 16th. So it will still be, the planet will be slow moving until April 16th. So that station phase from April 2nd until the 16th is when the planet is a little bit louder and a little bit more exalted. And so something will be in our face around that. And we'll look at that also in our own birth charts to see what that could be. You know, what area of our life will be affected by this, and how can we make the most of it, right? Because whenever we have planetary movements or transits or something's going on astrologically, we want to make the most out of it, right? If we can. So that's what these forums are for, right? Is to help us with that. And not just generally speaking, but with our own birth charts, right? Now, with the equinox, of course, we're going to ask ourselves, what is springtime going to bring to us? You know, in what ways are we going to start something fresh, start something new with springtime? You know, because springtime is always sort of like at the seed for a new beginning, right? Just like the season. Obviously, if you live in the southern hemisphere, then you are going to not be in springtime. You're going to be in fall time. But it's also the change of a season, right? So whether an equinox is always a change of seasons, right? So it's the beginning point of a change of seasons. And whenever a season changes, there is an energy shift that happens, right? So whether you are on the northern hemisphere, the southern hemisphere, either way, there is a shift in seasons, right? And that's what you're going to be feeling. Now, as far as the Jupiter retrograde and station phases are concerned, in what ways are we expanding and growing right now? And so that's some of the things we're going to be taking a look at. Now, if I have your birth chart already because you're a client or because you've sent it to me, then I'll be always happy to pull up your chart. If I have it, I have all the charts that I have in front of me. And I'm happy to answer any questions. I will try and keep questions towards the end of the webinar, but if there's something urgent that you need to have answered in order to understand what we're talking about, then definitely feel free to ask questions also in between via the chat window, okay? If I don't have your chart, you're not a client and you haven't sent it to me yet, feel free to do that for the next forum. For today, you know, if I don't have your chart, you can just tell me, you know, like where the planets are that we're talking about, what houses, how are they related, and then hopefully I'll be able to answer your question as best as I can just from that. Okay, and I would also love to focus questions connected to this month, what we're covering. So I don't want to answer questions that are not at all, have nothing to do with the spring equinox and have nothing to do with the Jupiter retrograde, because then it's not really that valuable for everybody else who's watching the webinar. I hope that makes sense. If you have any other questions that are not connected to what we're covering today, you know, feel free to just ask me for a reading. We can do like a 25-minute reading together. That's available on my website. If you can purchase the Soul Purpose reading. That's a 25-minute reading, and we can just talk about whatever you want to talk about. Okay, it doesn't have to be Soul Purpose. All right, so let's get started here. Let's jump right in. So one of the things that we want to do, let me just see where I'm at. Yeah, so one of the things I want to do is like pull up the overview for 2019, which is something that I emailed to you guys. With the link to join, and it's also going to be in your email attachments with the recording. If you're watching this as a recording, then it will also be in that email as well. So so click on the overview for 2019, and one of the things that it should say here is spring equinox. Sun journeys through Aries, March 20th until April 20th. So the beginning, so basically when the sun enters 0 degrees of Aries, that is the beginning of the spring equinox, right? And so that's sort of like the shift from Pisces to Aries is quite drastic and is quite strong, because Pisces is the last sign of the zodiac. So we are really finishing a cycle, and we're letting go of certain things that no longer serve us in terms of our own journey. And the moment the sun enters Aries, there's this fresh start, this fresh beginning of some sort. And so we're feeling this sort of like this energy of like, you know, now I'm ready, you know, now I'm ready to do something or get something going, start a new project, or you know, connect with something that I've been meaning to do. So we're feeling sort of passionate about something that we want to be engaging in, if that makes any sense, right? Now, let's take a look at what that would look like in our charts, right? So I'll pull up my chart here so you can see a little bit how you can look that up in your own chart. So basically what I'd like for you to do right now is pull up your own chart, and your own chart either looks like the left one here or the right one here. And most of you probably already know the spiel, right? This is a Time Passages chart. This is astro.com chart. They're exactly the same chart. They're both my charts, just look a little bit different, right? So it's just a matter of what you're used to looking at. Now, if we want to look at the spring equinox in our own chart to see where that happens, and thank you so much for hanging in there with me. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for spending this time, whether you're watching this live or as a recording. Thank you so much for all the fantastic questions, and for engaging and for answering my questions when I was asking you about the houses and everything. You guys were awesome. So thanks for all of that, and hopefully I'll be seeing most of you next month on April 19th for the next forum, or you'll be watching it as a recording again. Thank you. Have a fantastic rest of the evening. Have a fantastic night or day. I don't know what time it is where you're at. Happy spring and happy equinox and happy full moon. All right. Much love. Bye-bye.